it now you're destroying restrooms. That's what you're doing now. My son said it's called something, some kind of challenge where you go in and destroy a restroom. I swear, I think y'all's generation, I believe, I don't know what to say. I just really don't. I watched the 90s. I watched the early 2000s. This generation, it's sad. I'm sorry y'all are part of it. Anyway, you eat let's see, what is it? You eat Tide Pods, snort condoms, and you destroy restrooms. Good generation. That's a good thing. All right, so here we go. Let's go with the first question. First question sent. I only got 2 to go over. This is, let's see, 2.3, 35, 14. 2.3, 35, 14. And this is a test question. I think I went over this on the test, but I'll do it again. 17.5 is the revenue. The cost is 15x plus 350. And you want to see where they intersect. So I'm going to pull up my handy dandy. And let me make sure I'm recording. I am recording, and I have live captions turned on. And give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, so everything's good. And that is 17.5x is equal to 15x plus 350. And we've got 18 people. We got, okay, 18 people and 12 videos? Really? I got 2 people with bad cameras, and we got 18 people with 12 videos. Come on, turn the dang videos on and quit playing possum. I mean, good gracious. Nobody's going to critique your video. What?
I was cracking up at your jokes. I needed a minute to compose myself.
Oh, is that? Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, like people laugh at my jokes, really.
Did you say eat Tide Pods and what was the second
snort part? Condoms.
That's the one that really got me. I needed a
minute.
I needed a minute.
Yeah, that's the whole nother story.
If I could remember.
And now the challenge is you go into a restroom and you beat the hell out of the, I don't know, you tear up the restroom and bring home parts of the restroom. This what?
You just take specific items out of said bathroom.
Yeah, it's really a sad situation.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, in the 80s, we funneled beer. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on with these generations. It's really sad. But anyway,
the age to drink went up.
Yeah, I guess you just eat Tide Pods. I guess your breath is fresh. All right, so here we go. Here is the question. And we're going to solve it. 15x minus 15x, that's 2.5x, is equal to 350. And divide by 2.5, divide by 2.5. And x is equal to 140. You can also do this with the graphing calculator. Take your handy dandy graphing calculator and do y is equal to 17.5x. I'm going to do that in blue. 17.5x. And then do the magenta 15x plus 350. And graph. And if you don't see it yet, just zoom out or zoom fit. I'm going to zoom 0. And they look like they're parallel, but they're crossing, so you might have to go out a little bit. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to go over toward the right because it looks like it's converging on the right-hand side. So I'm going to pull that up. And I'm going to do it one more time, zoom out. I remember showing y'all this. I think this was a test question. Somebody tell me. I believe it was. And there is the, so I'm going to hit second, trace, and go down to intersect. Yes, yes. And where is my guess? I'm going to put the guess right about there. Don't hold down your buttons because it causes it to go haywire. Right there, maybe. And there is your X for your intersection, 140. So you can do this by a graphic calculator or you can do it by hand. And you feel good about yourself. So let's type it in so people won't think that I'm just making up stuff. Fantastic. Next, this is 2.4195. 2.4195. 2.4195. Now I'm going to put a little bit of review with this one just in case some of y'all still suck at inequalities. The number one rule of inequalities, Hubert's number one rule of inequalities. Actually, I have two rules. The first rule, always keep the variable positive. You can do that 99% of the time. Always keep the variable positive by moving the smallest variable. Always move the smallest variable. And number two, always graph the solution set on a number line and always give set builder notation and interval notation. That's what I tell my students to do whenever they do an inequality. Always keep the variable positive by moving the smallest variable. Always graph the solution set so you can see set builder notation and interval notation. So this problem says 18 less than equal to 8x minus 21 less than 27. Now this one, you really can't keep the variable positive. It's already positive, and you're glad, but sometimes they'll have a negative in here, and that's the 1%. So the 1% that I told you, you can't keep the variable positive is when you have a negative in here. So in this problem, I'm just going to add 21 on both sides. And that gives me 39 less than or equal to 8x less than or equal to 48. And then I divide by 8. And x is between 39/8 and 48/8. Isn't 6 times 8 48? Somebody check my math. I believe it is. So I'm going to graph it. That's negative infinity. That's positive infinity. There's 0, 6, and 8 will go into 39. 4 times 8 is 32. 5 times 8, so 4.9. And that gets a closed circle. And that should be an open circle on 6. And what's in between those two numbers? Well, that's the shaded area right here.
You don't have to shut it off.
Say again? Hello? Say again? I don't know why everybody's going in the lobby. I don't understand what I've hit. Why is everybody going in the lobby? Oh, well, who knows? I'll shut up. All right. So the solution set in set builder notation, braces X such that, and then rewrite your answer. X is between 6 and 39/8. That's how you write set builder notation. And then interval notation, you just read this from left to right. So interval notation, brackets, 39/8, comma, 6, in parentheses. And this is pretty much what I will test you on right here. Always try to keep the variable positive. And your answer is 39/8 and 6. Okay? That takes care of the 2 homework questions. Surprised nobody sent more. Miss Wiggins, any more? Is that good?
That's
That
it.
help you out? Okay. Now let's go to chapter 3. Now I'm going to go show you something right quick. And I'm going to YouTube. And you go to my name, pull up playlist. And I want you to go to Math 110. The reason I'm going there is because I haven't looked at the past 109 classes. You can go to the past 109 classes if you want to. But I want you to go down until you get to 110. I'm looking for it. Should be right in here. There it is. 110.09 2020-10. 110.09 2020-10. The reason I want you to go there is because there's 5 videos I want you to watch between now and the end of the week, which or the beginning of the week next week. Hit view playlist. And I know I'm only talking to like 3 people in the class because the rest of y'all aren't going to watch them, but you're going to bellyache about not being able to do complete the square. So here are the 5 tests, right? I mean, here are the 5 videos. Complete the square, complete the square 2, complete the square 3, complete the square 4, and complete the square 5. There's the 5 videos. I want you to watch it, even though if you think you invented completing the square, I still want you to watch it because most of the time you think you know how to complete the square, but you don't. We're going to spend the majority of chapter 3, and I'm not going to assign any homework on chapter 3 until we finish completing the square. And we are doing pretty much 3.1 through 3.3. Okay, so I need you to make a note that the completing the square is covering 3.1 through 3.3. Now, if you've noticed, I haven't said anything about quadratic formula. I haven't said anything about factoring. I haven't said anything about reverse FOIL. Well, I'll get to that in just a minute. But I want everybody to write down Math 110-09, 2020-10. I want you to watch these 5 videos between now and Sunday. Complete the square, complete the square 2, complete the square 3, complete the square 4. Okay, that's your homework for 1.1 through 1.3 right now. Okay, let me show you how to get there again for the 3 people that's going to do it. You go to Hubert McClure, you click on playlist, and you go down about 3 or 4 rows. I think it's the 5th row with this one. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hit view playlist and go down till you get to the first one, which is about midway down. Complete the square. Okay. Now, why is complete the square so important? Because if you're going into calculus, you're going to have to know how to complete the square. What does completing the square do? Well, completing the square is not restricted. Complete the square is not restricted. And you don't have to depend on your calculator. Why? Well, besides shortcut number 2 and number 1, the only thing you have to rely on is basic math. That's why people use completing the square, because it's based on basic math, except for shortcut number 1 and shortcut number 2. Well, why did your teacher quadratic formula? Well, I know some of y'all had a teacher that said this was what you were going to use in college, and that's not the truth, because the quadratic formula is only used when you have a quadratic that is decimals. 2.21x squared minus 3.2x plus 4.7. That's when you use the quadratic formula, because you have to use the what? The calculator. What about reverse FOIL? Well, reverse FOIL is fine, but you can only use it on factorable polynomials. Same thing with the shortcuts. You have to use it on factorable polynomials. So, when you hit algebra 1 or algebra 2, you were doing these. You were forced to do this over and over and over because the teacher didn't want to teach you this, or they didn't know how to teach you this. And then you get to college, and then you're going to spend a whole week on this. So, are you going to be tested on all of this or just completing the square? I'm just going to test you on completing the square. Because usually when I go through completing the square, I'll get somebody in the class that'll go, well, can't we just do this with quadratic formula? And I say no. Because the quadratic formula you just do with a calculator, and anybody can do that with a calculator. It doesn't take any thinking to do a calculator. So, let's start with completing the square. Number one, the first step to completing the square is move. Oh, no. The first step is set the equation equal to 0. When you set y is equal to 0, you're finding the x-intercepts. So when you start this problem, you're trying to find the x-intercepts. So you plug in 0 for y. 2. Excuse me, it's time to yawn. Move C and add blanks. Move C and add blanks. I'll get to that in just a minute. Number 3 is the important one. It's in red. Take B, divide it by 2, and square it. And that is completing the square right here. If you don't do step number 3, you cannot complete the square. So you have to do step number 3, and you put it in the blanks that you added. After you do step number 3, you've got shortcut number 1 or number 2 on left-hand side. 5. Excuse me. I haven't yawned all morning. And I start teaching this class, and I start yawning. Vertex and vertex form. Six. Solve for x. 7. Sketch. Domain. Range. Increasing. Decreasing. And line of symmetry. Now there's 2 times. Excuse me, there's 2 explanations I'm going to give you. This is the first one. The second one comes when A is greater than 1. This is completing the square when A is equal to positive 1. When A is not equal to positive 1, you have to do a little bit something different. Now I'm going to start you off with level 1, which means easy, which means Mickey Mouse. And we're going to go to level 10. It takes usually 2 to 3 classes to get to level 10. So the first one is f of x is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 8 is equal to f of x, sorry. All right, so, and what they'll say is they want you to solve, they want you to find the x-intercepts, they want you to find the solutions. It'll say something to that effect. Now, first thing you're going to do is you're going to set it equal to 0. This is y. So I'm setting y equal to 0, so that means I'm finding the x-intercept. You also need to highlight this guy because this guy is the y-intercept. So you need to make that note. That's your y-intercept. Sorry. I don't know why I start yawning in this class. So x squared plus 4x minus 8 is equal to 0. Now what does number 2 say? Move C and add blanks. I love this when I say move C because I'll get some students to say, well, where are we going to move it? Well, I got a quick question for you. What side is it on? It's on the left-hand side. So where do you think, using the brain power that you have, if it's on the left-hand side, where do you think we're going to move it? The right-hand side. Thank you. Now, is completing the square all taught the same? No. Completing the square is about 3 or 4 different ways to teach complete the square. Why do I choose this way? Because I have tried all the techniques of teaching complete the square, and this one is the one that students grab a hold of better than the other. Okay? So that's why I use this method of completing the square. All right, now we're going to do the important part of completing the square, and I'm going to do it in red. I'm going to take B, I'm going to divide it by 2, and square it. B divided by 2 and square it. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. And now you have shortcut number 2 or number 1 right there, because that's a positive. Are you always going to have shortcut number 1 or number 2 on the left? Yes. And that will give us x plus 2 quantity squared is equal to 12. Right now, we're at between 4 and 5. Now the vertex form, I'm going to write down the vertex form up in the top right-hand corner. And we're going to do that in a magenta. The vertex form of a line or a nonlinear equation. And y'all remember this from the previous unit. F of x is equal to a times x plus h quantity squared plus k. That's the vertex form. So I want the book and the homework. The book and the homework would like to have the answer in vertex form. I really don't care. Okay? And there is your orientation. There is your horizontal shift. And there is your vertical shift. And in this case, we put an f of x in front of this and bring that 12 over. It looks like this. F of x is equal to 1 times x plus 2 quantity squared minus 12. And there is vertex form. That looks out of focus. Is that in focus? I guess it is. Just looks like that magenta is out of focus. That's vertex form. You can write the vertex down. I'm going to get another color. That just looks a little bit. Let's try this one. Okay, vertex is -2, comma, -12. That's your vertex. Now, if I wanted the vertex down here, I would just say take the opposite of this and take the opposite of this. You get the same thing that you got right there. Okay, so here I take the opposite of this number and the opposite of this number. That's my vertex. And the last thing says solve for x. So now I'm going to solve this equation for x. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. That's going to give me x plus 2 is equal to the square root of 4, square root of 3. X plus 2 is equal to 2 square root of 3. And the exact form, and you'll be asked for the exact. Exact means with a radical. X is equal to 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 3. And you can make that 1 plus or minus 1 square root of 3. I just run out of room. Now that's the exact. Or 1 plus or minus 1 square root of 3. That's the exact answer. Exact means with radicals. Approximate, that means you're going to take that square root. So that means 1 plus or minus 1 square root of 3, 1 plus or minus 1 times, I think it's 1.7 or 1.57. Somebody take the square root of 3 for me, please. Is it 1.57 or 1.7? Dang, oh, indigo blue. 1 plus or minus, what is the square root of 3?
1.7.
It's a miracle. I did that without a calculator. 1 plus or minus 1.7. 1 plus 1.7 is 2.7. That's one x-intercept. 1 minus 1.7 is negative 0.7. That's the other x-intercept. All right, we're ready to sketch this. We got a vertex. We've got 2 x-intercepts. And we've got a y-intercept. I want you to draw a big graph on the next page, and I want you to sketch this graph out. That means hurry up. So we got a y-intercept of -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Take my green marker and draw a green dot there. We've got x-intercepts at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. All right, we've got a y-intercept, x-intercept at -0.7 and 2.7, and a vertex at -2. Okay, something's wrong. Something is wrong. -2 and -12. Yeah, something's wrong. Something is wrong. It's not lining up. I believe I got a sign wrong somewhere. 1 plus 1.7. There it is. It's supposed to be -2 down here. And somebody's going to say, oh, yeah, I thought that's what it was. Shut up. You didn't say anything. Let me show you. It's right here. You bring that over. It's -2. That'd be -1. So, -1 plus 1.7 is going to be 0.7. And negative, that'd be -2.7. So that's my fault. Now, the important thing is, what told me I was wrong? The graph. The graph told me I was wrong. So I got to readjust my x-intercepts to 0.7 and 2.7. 1, 2. Now that looks a whole lot better. So my graph looks like that. Now my graph is real rough because I didn't have any graph paper, and so y'all forgive me on that. Now this is a x-squared function. So it is x to the first, x to the second, x to the third, x to the fourth. Domain is what? All real numbers. Range is from negative. What is this? Negative, can't find my vertex. -12. So range is from -12 to infinity, decreasing, and that's going to be -2. Line of symmetry, x is equal to -2. So negative infinity decreasing from negative infinity to -2, and increasing from -2 to infinity. And you should be able to tell me all of this information. Now, I guarantee you there's only a few of y'all that had algebra teachers that showed you this stuff, because most of them told you how to do it on a calculator, which is fine, but it doesn't teach you how to think. All right, so let's do another one. Let's bump it up a little bit, and let's go to level 3. This is level 1. And aren't you glad I'm recording this so you can go back and look at it for the 2 people that's going to do that? All right, here's another one. Let's go with f of x is equal to x squared plus 3x minus 7 is equal to, okay, well, that's the way they're going to give it to you. You got to set it equal to 0. So go ahead and do it and start on. I'll give you a couple of minutes. See how far you can go. Do not use decimals. If you use decimals, you're going to go back to using the calculator. Do not use decimals. So x squared plus 3x minus 7 is equal to 0. And we'll go ahead and highlight that 7 as a y-intercept.
Priority 1 message coming in on secure channel.
And now we're going to complete the start. We're going to move the 7. X squared plus 3x plus blank is equal to 7 plus blank. 3, do this in red because this is important. 3 divided by 2, well, you can't divide 3 divided by 2, so you just square the fraction, which is 9/4. Now, I'm sorry, if you can't do that, if you can't square a fraction, you shouldn't be in a class to get you ready for calculus. 9/4. 9/4. Well, Hubert, I can't do fractions. Well, that's, you didn't get your money's worth in K through 12 then. This right here is shortcut number what? This is shortcut number 2 again, or 1, sorry. Because of that positive, is shortcut number 1. And that's going to give us x plus 3/2 quantity squared is equal to, what do I have to add fractions? What do I have to add fractions? A common what?
Denominator.
So I'm going to change this to 28/4. Plus 9/4. Y'all just love my colors, don't you? And that's going to give me x plus 3/2 quantity squared is equal to, and 28 plus 9 is 30 what? 37/4. And I'm going to write that in Vertex Form up here, so we'll have it for our homework or test. X plus 3/2 quantity squared minus 37/4. So our vertex is negative 3/2, comma, negative 37/4. And that is for test and homework. Over here, I'm just going to do vertex is the opposite of this number and the opposite of this number. Got my vertex. Now what? Solve for what? Solve for x. I love 37. I bet you $1 to a donut hole, the square root of 37 is 6.1. How do I do that so quick? Because the square root of 36 is what?
6.
So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand if 37 comes right after 36, the square root of 37 is 6.1. X plus 3/2 is equal to positive or negative 6.1 over 2. And now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to write it in exact. X plus 3/2 is equal to the square root of 37 over 2. X is equal to 3, negative 3, plus or minus the square root of 37 over 2. Now that's the way they want it as far as exact. I'm going to solve it right here. I'm going to solve it approximate because I need to know what the decimals are so I can draw it. So minus 3, so x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus 6.1 divided by 2. Now, what is negative 3 plus 6.1? You owe $3 and you got $6.10 in your pocket. That means you have $3.10 left over. Half of $3.10 is what? $1.75, something like that. No, $1.50, $1.55. So 1.55 is one x-intercept. And then negative 3, that's negative 9.1, 4.55 negative. Somebody check my math, please. Give me a thumbs up if you got those answers. Okay, I got 1, 2 thumbs up. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to draw my graph. And I've got a y-intercept of negative 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got a vertex of negative 1.5 and negative, let's see, 9 times 4 is 36. Negative 9.25, I think. Negative 9.25 will be down here. Negative 1.5, negative 9.25. And we got a negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1.55. All real numbers. Negative 37/4 to infinity is your range. Decreasing from negative infinity to negative 3/2. And increasing negative 3/2 to infinity. Line of symmetry. X is equal to negative 3/2. Okay? So let's move up to a 5. That's why I want you to look at those videos, because some of this is new to y'all and you need to go over it again. And you can go over this video again, or you can just watch and see where we're going with it. Here is number 5. All right, write that down. Can anybody tell me what the problem is? What is the problem with this one?
They're negative.
-1 in front. This negative and this 1, in order for you to complete the square, you need to write this down. In order to complete the square, A has to equal a +1. In this case, it's not +1, it's what? It's a -1. So we got to do something about that. First of all, let's move C, get it out of the way, or set it equal to 0. -1x squared minus 4x plus blank is equal to 5 plus blank. And this is the part that I have to add another step to our. Here, I've got to factor out a -1. So I'm going to take a green pen, and I'm going to factor out a -1. And that's going to give me x squared plus 4x plus blank is equal to 5 plus blank, and that -1 is multiplied by that right-hand side. Whatever you factor out, whatever you factor it out, whatever you factor, you have to multiply by the right-hand blank. So I factor out a -1 right here. I've got to put a -1 beside this right-hand side blank. Now you can complete the square. Now you can do 4 divided by 2 squared is equal to 2 squared, which is equal to what? 4. So you put a 4 here and a 4 there. And of course, that's going to give you here shortcut number 2. So that's going to give you -1 parentheses x plus 2 quantity squared is equal to 5 minus 4. Now finish it out. See if you can finish it out. If you can't do it, we'll just mark it down as a failure. Get you a t-shirt made up. Says, I am a failure. Or it might say, I just give up, you know, something like that.
You have a work email.
Give you another minute or two to finish up your sketch and your domain and range. Well, the stock market had a crappy day yesterday. I'm not going to say anything. I think I need to keep my mouth shut. But diesel went up. Okay, I'll shut up. So somebody tell me what the vertex is. What's the vertex? -1, x plus 2, quantity squared, equals 1. What's the vertex? -2 and -1. Solve. Divide by -1, divide by -1. X plus 2, quantity squared, is equal to -1. Take the square root of both sides. X plus 2 is equal to 1i minus 2. Can somebody tell me what I means as far as a x-intercept? Can anybody tell me what I means in respects to x-intercepts? Means they are none. There are none. There are no x-intercepts. We've got a y-intercept of -5. And we know that it's got a vertex of -2 and -1. And which way is it opening? It's opening downward, Hubert. Y'all know, just feel free to jump in whenever, okay? You know, just communicate. Thank you. Y'all suck. Yeah, I'm talking to all of you. You don't communicate. Somebody's going to get back at you for this one of these days. All right. Domain, all real numbers. Range is equal to what? Well, -infinity to -1. Increasing from -infinity to -2. Decreasing from -2 to infinity. Line of symmetry, x is equal to -2. Question, gripe, complaint. I'm going to show you the next one. And then we'll quit. This is about a level 6. F of x is equal to 2x squared minus 3x minus 7 is equal, I'm sorry, I usually set them equal to 0 the first step. So 0 is our 2x squared minus 3x minus 7 is equal to 0. Now I want you to factor out a 2. And do not use decimals. Factor out a 2. Factor out a 2. That gum, Miss Cruz is busy. She's up there cleaning. That's called multitasking. You can sit in class and clean at the same time. Or destroy bathrooms, you know, whichever one you want to do. Mr. Krakos, you destroyed any bathrooms, you know, lately?
No, I hadn't really felt like it.
Oh, okay, well. You need to get with the program. My Tide Pods are late. Somebody done hijacked my Tide Pods that I get from Amazon. I get this horrendous, huge thing from Amazon with like 5,000 Tide Pods in it. I think I'll start selling them. What's the going rate for a Tide Pod? Anybody know? Has Antley done left? Yep. I wanted to see why don't they just call in from wherever their class is? Why do they have to leave? Why can't you just call in from where the class is? But it might be extenuating circumstances. All right, I don't have much time, so I'm going to go ahead and start. 2x squared minus 3x plus blank is equal to 7 plus blank. Factor out a 2, that's going to be x squared minus 3 halves plus blank is equal to 7 plus 2 times blank. And from here on out, every time I factor out something, I make sure you remember that whatever you factor out here has got to be multiplied by that right side blank. Oh God. Fraction. I might as well quit. 3/2 divided by 2 raised to the second power. 3/2 multiplied by 1/2. 3/4 quantity squared. 9/16, just like the wrench. What's sad is half the class don't even know what I'm talking about. 9/16, just like the wrench. And now we've got shortcut number 2 right here. And that's going to give us x minus 3/4 quantity squared. That 2 is out front and it's pink. And I can't find a pink. And over here, that 2 will cancel with that 16 and make an 8. And somebody tell me what 8 times 7 is. 56, Hubert. That's right, class. So I change that to 56/8. And what is 56 plus 9? 65, Hubert. That's right, class. And now you have vertex. The vertex form f of x is equal to 2 times x minus 3/4 quantity squared minus 65/8. Vertex is 3/4, comma, negative 65/8. So that's some stuff they may want. Solve. Well, I'm going to divide by 2. Divide by 2 over 1, which means multiply by 1 over 2. So that's going to give me x minus 3/4 quantity squared equals 65 over 16. Square root of both sides. X minus 3/4 is equal to positive or negative. Now, what do y'all think the square root of 65 is? Come on, you can do it.
8.1.
8.1, good job. Over 4. And the approximate answer is x is equal to 3 plus or minus 8.1 over 4. And I'll let y'all sketch that one and graph it. Now, the good thing about this is, and we'll finish class with this, you can go to your handy dandy calculator and you can type in y is equal to 2x. Don't use the keyboard on your, don't use your keyboard on your laptop. 2x squared minus 3x hold on a second. Why screw this up? There. Minus 3x minus 7. And let me get rid of these guys. And there it is. And you have to blow it up a little bit, maybe zoom, box, and I'm going to zoom in right around the origin. Dadgum, these buttons are sensitive. And there you go. You got to blow it up a good bit to see the -7 y-intercept, because that's at 137 right there. I mean, you'd have to. That's -3 right there. So you're going to have to blow it up a few times to get it zeroed in. All right, let me call the roll. And you are responsible for either watching the videos on that 110 class, or you can go into working some of the homework in 3.1 to 2.3. But I would not suggest that, because I haven't finished covering everything yet. So I would probably highly suggest that you work on those videos and watch those videos between now and Thursday. Comprende? See, thank you for communicating with me. It's always good to have a class that communicates. Makes time go by a whole lot faster. See, take it easy, please. I need y'all to settle down.